the R.M.Williams Outback podcast, bringing to life the characters that feature in Outback magazine and more.
Hello, lovely listener. This is Terry Cowley, your podcast host and one of the journalists at the R.M.Williams Outback magazine. Today on the podcast, we have horsewoman and station owner Rebecca Henry from Sugarbag Station in North Queensland. Rebecca is incredibly accomplished across a range of different fields, but you'd never know it. She's extremely humble and is definitely not one to seek out any media. But I've convinced her to give this podcasting lark a go. I'm sure you'll enjoy hearing from Rebecca. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. North Queensland station owner Rebecca Henry has dedicated her life to horses, from mustering to show jumping. Now she's preparing ex-racehorses for life off the track. Rebecca featured in a profile by Fiona Sewell in issue 164 of Outback magazine, and she joins me now. Hello, Rebecca.
Hi, Terry. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Now, Fiona starts her story talking about where you live, which is 18,000 hectare Sugarbag Station, which sits atop the Great Dividing Range 3 hours west of Cairns. Tell me about Sugarbag, Rebecca. What's it like?
We believe it's one of the best places in the world. Considered moving other places, but Far North Queensland always calls me home. It's in a great location that we're in the outback in large acreage areas, but we're still close enough to like Cairns Airport and being able to get access to all the wonderful things elsewhere, yeah.
So Fiona describes being on the station, what it's like, the wonderful views from your veranda, and she really makes mention, particularly before we get to the horses, of course, and the other animals, she really makes a point about the gum trees and the bird life.
Yeah, I think when you first visit there, it's one of the things you can't help but notice. And even though I live there, it's still, for me, it's a really important aspect of what draws me to the station. Like simple things like the wind through the trees, just it seems to be magic at Sugarbag compared to anywhere else.
Well, you have recently taken over the station from your parents. Can you tell me a bit about when your family bought the station and how that succession plan played through?
The station's been a big part of our life ever since I was a little girl. We used to spend every weekend, every holidays out there. I actually did my schooling on the coast at Innisfail. And as soon as I finished school, we moved to the station. Yeah, and so the cattle work and the horses have been a big aspect in my life. And yeah, it's just one of those things. My mum and dad were ready to retire, and I was able to take on the reins of Sugarbag.
And when did that happen?
Just a couple of years ago that I've taken over full management, yeah.
I liked the part of the story where the author was talking about your parents, Robert and Lorraine, and how they live nearby and that they're still involved, but they let you get on with it. And I think your dad said, you've got to step back sometime, and Rebecca's thinking ahead. She reckons she's going to email me and tell me what to do, but I don't read emails. I love that.
When I read Fiona had written that, because I didn't hear any of the interviews with mum and dad, I laughed right out loud. Yeah, it kind of nail on the head of who dad is. He's just straight to the point. But yeah, that pretty much sums up what he thinks of the modern IT world. Yes, for sure.
Now, tell me what you've got on the station in terms of animals.
The breeder herd is our main focus. So we've got Brahma cross cows, and then we have all the young stock coming behind them. And then, of course, the diversification is, so I've always loved the horses. The sport of show jumping has been something I've pursued a lot. And then this thoroughbred program came along, and I jumped headfirst into that because it really aligned with my values. And so now I have up to 20 thoroughbreds at a time on the station, yeah.
So horses are obviously a core part of Sugarbag. Obviously, there's mustering, but you've been involved with show jumping, as you said. You've had a long affinity with horses, starting with your first horse, Shaky the Shetland pony. Take me back to your early days with horses.
Oh, they were always in our life. Dad was a rider, and he actually competed in show jumping way back in the day. So he used to ride to town on his horses to be able to compete at the local shows. A lot different to what we do now. Yeah, there was always horses around, and the availability of a Shetland to learn to ride on was amazing. But here's a little rat bag. I do remember that. I do have a memory at the local pony club of he wanted to go somewhere. He decided to just run under a rail, except I was still sitting on his back. And so I was like the handbrake, and he couldn't go any further.
So you would be out mustering with your dad when you were very young?
Yep. Dad always set things up to try and help us learn on the job, learn through lived experience. So yeah, following the mob in when I was younger was a regular thing to do. Always set up so that the cattle were already together and virtually just follow the cattle in. But at the time, I didn't realize that, and I thought I was doing a lot more than I was, that's for sure. Yeah.
You said us, you have siblings?
Yeah, I have an older brother, yeah.
So bigger horses followed, of course, and then a passion for show jumping.
Yes. I had been doing a lot of riding just around the station and around the farm because we had a fattening block in Innisfail. And then we went to our first show jumping event at Malanda. I remember it was Malanda. And after that day, I was just completely hooked on show jumping. And that was my sole aim in life, virtually, was to be a show jumping rider. Yep.
What was it that appealed to you?
I reflect back on it now, and I still reflect on it that I'm still so heavily involved in the sport. I think there's something about show jumping that you can't fake it. You're at the level that you should be at. If you try to go higher than you that you're actually your skill level's at, the sport will actually make you come back down to the level you should be at. And just the connection with the horse. So there's a lot of trust involved with getting a horse to jump those coloured poles, and it's such a precise sport. So unlike eventing, the show jumping poles can fall down really easily, and so if you don't get them set up correctly, the horse, and you're not in balance with that horse, you'll easily have a pole on the ground. Yeah. So I think I like the bravery and the preciseness of the sport. Yeah.
So you're horse obsessed and competing at the highest levels. So we've jumped forward a bit there because you're just talking about, the first show jumping event you went to. Now I've said you were competing at the highest levels. There's obviously a fair bit of work in between those two things.
Yeah, there was. And I did it a little bit of the hard way, but the real genuine way of learning horsemanship. So I took on horses and trained them myself. Early days were taking on off the track horses or problem horses and taking them, and I'd go down south to Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney at least 3 times a year with my horses, and produce those horses through to the highest levels in Australia, which was very rewarding. I think reflecting on it now, I actually didn't realise what I was doing at the time, and I just thought it was what everyone did, that you produced your horses and took them through. But looking back now, it was something to be really proud of, that's for sure.
So tell me about the Brisbane World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, they were pretty special.
That was in 2007.
2007, it's a little while back now. So I actually had a horse called Spielberg. So he was my one and only purchased horse. So I bought him from really lovely people in Victoria. And I took him on. He was a little bit older. He's very strong for me. I got him back into a snaffle bit. And so the pinnacle of my partnership with him was going to Brisbane Royal, and we jumped a clean round around the World Cup. And that was back in the days when the World Cup qualifier was held on the public holiday on the Wednesday, and the course was set up over the whole arena, and there was a really big crowd there because it was the public holiday. Oh, just the memories of the crowd behind you, and they were oohing and ahhing as you jumped every fence, and yeah, really fond memories. And he was a very special horse, that one. Yeah.
But sort of unforeseen circumstances occurring after that.
Yeah, I think that's the tough thing about our sport is we're only in it as long as that horse is with us. So always trying to build new partnerships for that reason. But yeah, I had some really unfortunate luck with him. I lost him in yeah, like such quick circumstances. He had a bit of a flu-like symptoms. We took him into the vet, and yeah, he didn't survive that night. It was just a bit of a shock to the system.
This was as a result of him being inoculated during the equine influenza outbreak.
Yeah, so we had the lockdown for EI. It was only 3 days after Brisbane Royal. I was really lucky to get home. The shutdown happened straight after that. Because I was on the elite squads, all my horses got vaccinated. I suspect very strongly, even though there's not proof, but it was very strongly related to that vaccination because of his circumstances of the autopsy of that horse, yeah.
That must have been very sad for you.
Yeah, it was a bit hard to take that one, yeah.
So after that, it seems like that was a bit of a turning point for you and you took stock of your life at that point?
Yeah, I did. Especially with the EI, we were with our force sit down with EI, and then I lost Spielberg. I still had some really nice horses coming behind. Farmer Jacob, he went up to World Cup qualifier level, and some other horses coming in behind him. But I just decided it was really, like, I looked at my resume. I honestly did, and it really read, I can chase a cow and ride a horse. And I'm like, well, maybe it's time to broaden my horizons a little bit. And I decided to go down to Marcus Oldham College down in Victoria and go study a degree, yeah.
And what did you study and what was it like?
I did the equine business management diploma and also alongside of the degree of agribusiness. So it was a massive sea change for me because I went from working in the paddock and riding horses to having to sit in a classroom, and I did really struggle, particularly that first semester. I never drank coffee before I went to uni, and as my friends know, I like coffee a lot now, but yeah, coffee was my survival through that first semester.
But how did you find what you learnt?
Oh, it was so empowering. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I'd learnt so much, and having the practical outside experiences and hearing these lecturers talking about stuff I had been doing in the paddock, I just latched onto it and I loved it. Yeah, the actual study, I loved it. Yeah. The learned knowledge was great.
So degree in hand, you returned to Sugarbag and moved into equestrian coaching.
Yeah, that was my next step. So yeah, I followed the equestrian coaching. I had been coaching already, quite a few people, but I hadn't formalised that. So I got my Equestrian Australia accreditations. It's a bit of a process, but I got up to my level 2 specialisation in showjumping, and then I really moved that business along with my coaching. And yeah, I pursued it a lot in far North Queensland.
So with that coaching, is that coaching both horse and rider?
It's focused on the rider, but we're also the horsemanship around the horses. It's hand in hand, really. Yeah, for sure.
And then you decided to have a go at designing the courses.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of a gap up here. Because I'd been down south and came back, and I was like, there's not a lot of officials, and it was one of the reasons they were struggling to hold events in North Queensland because they were only relying on 2 or 3 officials, and that weren't always available. So I was like, yeah, I'll go get my accreditations for officiating. I had no ambition to go very far with it. And here I am just loving course designing and the challenge of it and following this wave through now.
You got the highest design level possible in Australia, one of very few women to do so.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. And I'm also now pursuing the international levels. So I'm at FEI level 2. Yeah, so that allows me to course design overseas. And I'm just following the wave to see if it's very tough to go to the next level, which is FEI level 3. So I'm just following the wave and seeing if that opportunity will present as well. But yeah, it's fun in the meantime.
And you are seeing some younger women coming through on that, perhaps following your example.
Yeah, it's actually lovely. People will seek me out a little bit and ask if they can help me at a future show somewhere. And so we try and organise something that works in with their schedule so that they can really put some quality time into learning the art of course design. Yeah.
So your skills were noticed by one of the biggest names in course design, Olaf Peterson Jr., at the Australian Show Jumping Championships in Sydney in 2023, so 2 years ago. And then he asked you to come to Germany with him.
Yeah, yep. So I went across. That was a very daunting trip. So I went across and went to Munster in Germany. It was a four-star show. Yeah, it was a fantastic experience. So that was the first week. So that show finished on the Sunday, and then I went straight across to America, above New York, to another show. And the course design started on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. So I got myself across to a different country and did a second show with him while I was over there. Yeah.
In the story that we published, he's quoted as saying, "I find it remarkable that you, put so much effort into course designing, spending time and money and travel all over Australia to catch up with what is going on in our sport outside of Australia." I guess it's the same thing. You had to leave Sugarbag to go somewhere else to bring that knowledge in. I guess the same thing would apply with any sport too.
Yeah, and I think I did it with North Queensland too. I was originally just flying south to get my knowledge up from the southern shows to bring that officiating back to far North Queensland. And I think this is just the next step. It's very similar, just going overseas, seeing what the trends are. It's an ever-changing sport, so what we built 2 years ago might necessarily be what we build today. So it's a quickly evolving sport, and just trying to stay up to date so that we can bring those modern courses into Australia and share with the fellow course designers as well. There's a really good camaraderie between the officials, and it's really nice to share that across to them as well.
Why does it change so quickly like that?
The modern breeding of the show jumping horse, it's very sporty, very careful of looking after the horsemanship of the horses. So you can't just build the same thing, because the riders will just go home and train it. So we don't want 100% of the horses going clear. We want it to be an entertaining sport. So we only want a small amount to go clear, but we don't want any disasters either. Yeah, so it's a very fine line on how to get those results from those very modern sport horses.
Now, you mentioned the thoroughbreds before. You've got about 20, you said?
Down to 14 at the moment. Yep.
Okay. So tell me about your thoroughbreds.
Well, they're pretty easy to talk about. I've always done very well with the thoroughbred. They've got such heart about them. They've got a lot of fight. And once you get the partnership with them, they'll do anything for you. I don't know. They're just a special breed, that's for sure.
Okay, so all the thoroughbreds you have are related to the off-the-track program?
Yes, my current ones, yes.
So you're a qualified retrainer with that program, which is overseen by Racing Queensland. So in the last few years, you've been taking on retired racehorses to help them adjust to normal life away from the track and remember the simple joy of just being a horse. How lovely.
It's pretty much what it is, yeah. So they come in, they're pretty fresh off the track, and I let them down. So I've got special paddocks to let them down. So that just means they'll come in and they're very highly spirited. So we just try and get them to realise where they are. They're not at a racetrack anymore. And then I slowly integrate them into the herd. And once they're in that herd and they're very comfortable, it's one of the most magical things to watch them just start to interact again with their fellow horses, and the camaraderie that comes into it between the horses. Yeah, it's lovely.
You've helped 50 horses find their forever home. So after they've been with you, they move to where they will stay.
So after the letdown and I get them into the herd, I just do some light rides with them and start to understand where that horse may be best placed. Some are as simple as they want to be a trail riding horse, and that's fine too. And then others I'll be like, I think this horse will suit chasing a cow, or others like they end up in my sport of show jumping because they're just a little bit careful over the poles and very trainable. So then I'm very fortunate. For some reason, people reach out to me, which makes it a lot easier to rehome. So those people will then come and visit Sugarbag, and they'll have a look at what I have, and they're welcome to ride all the horses, whichever horse they like, and they can come back multiple times. And they end up just being drawn to the horse that suits them. And I'm always fascinated by that. You'll see it, a person will walk down my laneway and just go to the horse that they are going to buy. You can just tell that that's the horse they want. And yeah, and then I'm able to support those horses in the rehoming process, because Racing Queensland also has a subsidised lesson program. So those people then can come to me for lessons. And because I already know the horse, I can help them understand the personality of the horse they have. And yeah, it just helps it smooth it out a little bit. Yeah.
When you think about your work in that program, is there one particular horse, or can you give me an example of a horse, what he or she was like when they came in and how they progressed and where they ended up?
Oh, geez. There's so many. There's a beautiful chestnut one that I'm quite drawn to. Yeah, he's probably a better word than shut down for podcast, but he's a little bit shut down, as in he just was like, he was happy doing his job. Yeah, he was happy doing his job on the racetrack, but when he came off the track, he just sort of opened up and he became more aware and was like, and he wasn't that fast on the track either. So the trainer retired him pretty quick, and I've ended up retraining him, and he's like this very joyous personality to work with. So I think he just wasn't meant to be a racehorse, and he's meant to be a performance horse. Yeah. We nickname him Elliot. Yeah.
I think you were quoted in the story as saying, I'm their first step to life after racing, and I revisit that idea so they learn when a person touches them, there isn't a job coming. So you've kind of got to, really teach them a whole new worldview, really, don't you?
Yeah, it's just racetrackers, they got a purpose in there. And so when they go to saddle them, they've got to go to the track. Whereas what I'll do is I'll go and catch them, pat them. I might put the saddle on, but then I end up taking it off. And they're like, oh, that's different. And yeah, so it's just those sort of things, just keeping it really simple. Nobody's done anything wrong by them, but it's just learning that there's a new way of how life will go. Yeah.
Story mentions Dozer.
Yeah. He's a lovely horse, that one. Yeah.
You still got him?
No, he rehomed onto a good friend of mine, Claire Denson. Yeah.
How long does the process take?
Depends. So I hope most of them will be able to be rehomed within 6 months. Some of them are a little bit longer, and I won't try and rehome them until I can read the signs that they're ready for it. And I won't start to ride them either until I reckon they're ready for some soft, gentle rides, because sometimes they just want to be on holiday a little bit longer. Some of them have taken 12 months. Yeah, just a little bit longer.
What is it that attracts you to that kind of work, apart from loving horses generally?
Oh, it's very rewarding. I feel like it's my the lifetime of work with horses. I can give back to these horses, and there's so many people that do want a thoroughbred, and I feel like I'm just this gentle step to helping people understand the horse that they're getting. I found through the process that sometimes people will get a horse straight from the track, and a little bit of miscommunication happens because the horse is so highly strung coming straight to the track. So it's really nice to be able to just take that first step for them and then rehome them after that. So I think it's just a lifetime of work with the horses that's made it rewarding work.
I've heard about some programs that match up people who have had difficult times with horses who have had difficult times. Is there something in that, do you think?
I really do. Yep. I think we're drawn to the personality that suits us. I have actually seen that a little bit, where people will draw to the personality of the horse. And if I know that person quite well, I'm actually quite often not surprised of the horse they choose. Yeah.
It's a really worthwhile thing to do. But it's on top of everything else you have to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it all. How do you do it all? You must work long hours.
I very much work in priority blocks. Probably sounds a bit funny, but we've just mustered for our January muster, so that while we were doing the cattle, nothing else sort of filters in. So it's just cattle, and so then I'm about to coach this weekend. So the cattle are back in their paddocks. They're all done. It's all sorted. All the paperwork's done around them. I've analysed the statistics around them, and now it's like, okay, coaching time. And So I start to analyse the timetables for the clinic. So yeah, I think I just do it like that. I just really block it into pieces and hyper focus on that area of my business at the time. Yeah.
I was going to ask you what was happening on the station now, and you said you've just done mustering.
Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge because we've had unpredictable weather up here. Bomb's having a hard time picking if it's going to rain or stay fine. But we got a little bit brave and we booked the chopper and got it in, and it actually ended up being a really good muster. So, yeah, I'm glad we did it. Yeah.
Have you had any of that rain near you?
We've been really lucky. It's gone both sides of us and all around us. The previous 2 years, we've had massive floods, so we would really like to get through this year without the big floods, but it is definitely around us. We've just been a little bit fortunate this particular season so far. We're magic at the moment, and the dams are pretty much almost full, even though we haven't had the big rains, and the grass is looking really great. So, yeah, we're pretty fortunate at the moment. Yeah.
What's next for you? What's your year looking like? Are you going to do any more overseas trips in the designing area?
Yeah, I actually am. So I just came back from Thailand in December. I was invited to the FEI Asian Championships there. That was a really great trip because I got to see the games format, which I hadn't been a part of before.
As in the Olympic Games?
Yeah. So Olympic Games, so they run regional games that are on this very similar formats. It's actually practice for each region so that they get used to the games formats. The technical delegate there was Bernardo Costa-Cabral. So I actually got an invite to go and work with him this year. So I actually followed up on that, and I'm heading over to Florida in February, so in a couple of weeks' time. So I go via Sydney, so I do Sydney Jumping Association, and then I fly out and go to World Equestrian Centre. There's a 5-star World Cup over there, which is the highest level. So I'll assist to Bernardo, and then I'll do a second week with him, and then I fly back into Tamworth for the Jumping New South Wales state titles, indoor state titles, I should say. So that's a big block of course designing, and then it'll be back to hopefully the wet season starts to steady up, and I'll focus back in on the cattle and the horses as it won't be raining so much. Yeah.
At those times, do your parents have to step back up a bit more?
Dad feeds my horses for me, so I couldn't go overseas if Dad didn't do that for me because he's got a very good eye for the horses. So even though he doesn't ride or handle them, he's feeding them constantly, and like they get a morning and night feed, and he just keeps an eye on them. So without that, it wouldn't be possible. Yeah, and mum's there as great support too.
It's usually a team effort, isn't it?
It very much so is here. Yeah.
Well, that probably wraps it up for me. You can read Rebecca's story, the story about Rebecca Henry, in issue 164 of Outback Magazine. And actually, we're a little bit down the track because I actually could pin Rebecca down. If you're listening to this and you would like to see Rebecca's story, you can always get copies of single issues directly from us at outbackmag.com.au. You can even there's a phone number there, and an actual real person will answer it if you call us. Any more information about any of the stories is at outbackmag.com.au. We've had such a response to your story. When we ran some of it on social media, it was so popular. So you're obviously a woman known in your field and in your paddock. People have just responded so well to you. What kind of feedback did you get?
And I had some really nice phone calls when the article was released, and Fiona wrote a lovely story. She's very great with her words and her photos. So it's been wonderful, and it's great.
Because you're definitely not a person that sought the limelight in any way, and you haven't had a lot of media stories, probably because you don't push your own barrow enough. You're too busy doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I feel a little bit uncomfortable with the media, so I'm really pushing myself to get better at it. Yeah.
Oh, I hope the podcast today, the podcast chat hasn't been too arduous for you.
Yeah, it's been my first attempt, so hopefully it listens okay. Yep.
We'll let you go. You're in town at the moment?
Yep. In here coaching this weekend, so we start tomorrow. Yep, and I brought a couple of thoroughbreds in with me too. So
thank you so much for your time today, Rebecca. I've really appreciated it. And thanks for being in Outback, and all the best for the future.
Thank you, Terry. It was such a privilege to be included in such an amazing magazine. Thanks so much.
You've been listening to the R.M.Williams Outback podcast, an audio extension of R.M.Williams Outback magazine. For more information, please go to outbackmag.com.au. Podcast host and producer is Terry Cowley. Editor-in-chief is Mark Muller. Original podcast theme music by Isaac May.